Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
I think one of our tribe is going to get out to Springfield to come see you, and I've got a book to drop off to you. It's really neat. It's your book, and gosh, it is the single best book I've ever seen. So, class, seriously, if you want to buy just one book for your entire life, just one book, the book is called The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Healing Remedies by C. Norman Shealy, Dr. Norman Shealy. No kidding. Joey bought one, and Joey called me up and he said, Vin, you're right. You're absolutely right. If you're going to buy one book, that is the book to buy. So, Dr. Shealy, congratulations. It's an outstanding book.
Well, thank you, Vince.
I mean, truly, I just can't imagine how much work went into it. But I do have a question for you about it. Go ahead.
Well, it was a bit of work, but worth doing.
Absolutely. It's the definitive work, as far as I can tell, on healing remedies. Very, very seriously, class. Dr. Shealy, I'm writing this book, and it's taking me forever. And the problem that I have is, where do I stop? Where do I stop adding content to the book? Because what's happening is, several times a day I go, I need to put this in the book. I write down my notes. And I keep doing that. Does that happen to you?
Of course.
Okay. So how do you draw the line? How do you say, okay?
Every once in a while, I just do a summary of what I must include. And then I say, okay, that's it. But then I might change my mind.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. I was able to recover a empty bag of Frito-Lay corn chips. Got it right here in studio. This is an empty bag. And I asked if I could have this empty bag from the previous owner so that I could read to you what the contents are. And it just says ingredients: corn oil, and salt. Now the question is, these are fried in oil, extruded, flattened pieces of corn paste. We know that corn is a GMO food, or almost all of corn is GMO, right? Isn't that right, Dr. Shealy?
Oh, yes. And
okay,
it's not far behind wheat in Roundup.
Okay. So my question is, these Fritos, we'll call them Fritos corn chips, Fritos brand, Frito-Lay. If they are corn and they're fried corn, it's not like two of the worst possible things that you can do to your body: eat fried foods and then make it corn.
Well, it goes on the junk pile.
Would you recommend eating them or not eating them?
I would recommend not even having them in the house, let alone eating them.
Okay. Well, I don't have them in the house. I just have the empty bag.
No, I know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's an interesting story, Dr. Shealy. So, to my left, I've had this avocado tree that I started from an avocado stone. Literally took the stone out, put some toothpicks, 3 toothpicks in it, put it in a cup of water, put it in the sun after I dried it out, and it started growing. And ultimately, when it was time, I put it in some soil, And it grew a little bit, and it grew a little bit. And so this has been going on for well over a year and a half. It just doesn't seem to want to grow, or it didn't. And I've got it in the window. I've had it outside, when the weather's right. It just didn't really want to grow. I've tried fertilizing it, and it helped a little bit. Tried watering it. No matter what I did, the leaves would turn brown and fall off. So one day I decided it needed a cup of coffee. Literally. So I had just coffee in the coffee pot. It was left over. And I mixed it with some water. I diluted probably 3 parts water to 1 part coffee. I poured it in there. The next day, I saw all kinds of activity. It's growing like crazy. It likes a cup of coffee diluted every few days.
Interesting.
Now, the reason I'm mentioning that is I think, and I'm serious, this thing is now growing like a weed. It's grown more in about a week than it has in 6 months. The reason I'm mentioning this is coffee is acidic. Now, I tested the pH of the soil, and it was neutral, and I thought, there you go, that's pretty good. Well, evidently, it wasn't it wants an acidic soil, and coffee is acidic. And I think that's probably it. Maybe we're fixing some nitrogen in the soil with the coffee. I'm not sure. But I guess the point of this whole discussion is we bump along, and our health generally doesn't do very well. All of a sudden, if we change the pH, isn't that like a miracle, Dr. Shealy, in terms of enabling our body to heal?
Interestingly, every single living thing has a preferred pH. And in the human body, in the blood, it's 7.4. But in the urine, it's 5.5 to 6.5. So we have the ability, and I guess plants do to some extent, to decide or to change the pH according to how we treat our body. It's very important to keep it, the major part of the body, alkaline.
Which means basic rather than acidic.
Exactly.
So on the pH scale, 7, pH scale goes from 0 to 14. 7 is right in the middle. So 7 would be neutral. So if you had perfect water, it would be 7.0.
That is correct.
And if you were going more toward acid, it would be 6.9, for example, 6.5,
right.
6.4, 6.0, 5. And as you get really low, like 1 or 2, you've got a very, very strong acid, extremely strong. It's something you have to be very careful with, like battery acid. And then if you go above 7, like 7.1 to 8, 9, you're getting stronger and stronger in bases or alkaline. And an example would be caustic soda, like lye that we used to clean our sink drains with. And that is extremely dangerous as well. So we want to be right around, as you said, near the middle. For urine, 5.5 on the pH scale to 6.5. And then for our blood, 7.4 or so. So, Dr. Shealy, can we test our own blood with pH test strips, or would the color of the blood, the red blood, affect what we would see on our pH?
Yeah, I wouldn't stick your finger to get a drop of blood to test it. You should check either your saliva or your urine or both. Okay.
And what would the pH of our saliva be, ideally?
7.4.
So, 7.4 would be saliva. And you said blood was 7.4?
Yes.
Okay. So saliva is 7.4. Now, how do you recommend that we test the pH of our saliva? What is the procedure for doing that?
Well, the little slips say don't put it in your mouth, so that means you're supposed to spit on it.
Okay, but what if we've just had a Diet Coke or a regular Coke or oatmeal or pasta or
you shouldn't do it within 5 minutes of eating or drinking.
Okay. Very good. All right, and is it better to test it? Well, what would happen if we just woke up in the morning with that cotton mouth? Would that be the wrong saliva to use, or?
No, it's okay. That would be fine.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, I was reading a story on the internet a few days ago, and it was about this doctor. And he was doing some research, and he was trying to find what's going on with autism. So he's literally doing some research on autism. And I haven't seen his publications, but from the article that I read, he was letting people know the results of what he was finding as he was finding it. This is what I've derived from the story. Then the trolls came out, the internet trolls, and bashed him and bashed him and bashed him to the point where there were so many trolls bashing him that he just said, "The heck with it, forget it." And he's walked away from his research because he's been attacked. So the question now is, when you were younger, well, let's say when you first started medicine, was there such a thing as, well, not internet trolls, but were there trolls that would try to take you down or take people that you know down or people that you've heard of because they were making? So this is a new. Okay, so this is kind of a new phenomenon then, and this is really disconcerting. And I look at this as like people on the left who are trying everything they can do to destroy our country, to destroy the rule of law, to destroy morals, to say, well, if it's okay that Bruce Jenner wants to wear a dress, it's okay if he wants to look like a girl, it's okay if he wants to wear high heels.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's disgusting.
Sick.
It's sick. It's perverted. We used to call people like that perverts. Perverts. Now we just call them gay. Matter of fact, I don't even think we're supposed to use the word queer.
Oh, no.
Well, they are queer. Gosh.
Hey, guys, folks, in case you don't know, this is why Vince and I like each other. We both have such a similar philosophy about the life and words.
Yep, we'll be right back. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. Dr. Shealy, I have something to discuss that does not necessarily relate directly to medicine, but we are being attacked. And this is a call to arms. On zerohedge.com, there's an article, and here's what it says. A new bill introduced in Pennsylvania would establish a gun registry within the state, meaning the state of Pennsylvania. Now, my concern is that this is going to spread like wildfire to all the states. HBO 768 is known as the Firearms Registration Act. The Democrats that introduced the bill were MaryLouise Isaacson, Angel Cruz, and Mary Jo Daley. Last Friday, the General Assembly referred to the bill to the Committee on Judiciary. Now, here's where it gets extremely concerning to me. The bill would require gun owners in the Keystone State, which is Pennsylvania, to register their firearms with the Pennsylvania State Police. Owners would have to provide the police with the make, model, and serial number of all of their guns, along with the application that the gun owner must swear to under oath. The gun owner would have to submit fingerprints, 2 photographs that are no older than 30 days, and go through a background check for each firearm they own. This background check is the same one that they must go through to purchase a gun. In addition to this requirement, they must also provide the Pennsylvania State Police with their home and work address, telephone number, social security number, date of birth, age, sex, and citizenship. This requirement is more information than a person needs to vote. If the state police rejects the person's application, they will then have 10 days to appeal the decision. The owner must turn in their firearms to the state police within 3 days of receiving notification of the rejection. If a person does not appeal the decision within 10 days, the right is forfeit. A gun owner cannot transfer any unregistered firearm. Anyone caught with an unregistered gun is guilty of a crime, even if they are unaware of the firearm registration status. Also, just holding an unregistered firearm at the range is a crime. It gets worse. The gun owner must keep all firearms unloaded and disassembled or bound by a trigger lock. If a firearm owner doesn't secure the firearm in that way, they would be guilty of a crime. The rule even applies to homes with no children. The gun owner has 48 hours to update the state police if they change jobs, phone numbers, addresses, or anything else on the application. If they do not update the state police, then they could be prosecuted for violating the law. The certificate will cost $10 per firearm and will expire after 1 year. The gun owner would have to start the process all over again to renew their certification. The process must be done 60 days before the certificate expires. The procedure can get confusing for gun owners with large collections. Dr. Shealy, I just wanted to mention that because this is coming to us if we don't stop it. Now, I know how to stop this.
It's the reason to move out of Pennsylvania, of course. For your information, last evening I attended a 21st birthday party for one of my grandsons, at which I presented him with a shotgun and a pistol.
and that is your right and his right. You can do that
with his parents' approval.
Of course, that would be the way to do it. Mm-hmm. Even though he's 21, I think that was the right way to do it, and I think that's wonderful. I really do. And you know what, Dr. Shealy, if he wants a place to train, he'd come on over here. I'll be glad to teach him. Class, when we come back, I will give you the phone numbers of these parasites who are supporting this legislation in Pennsylvania. And I suggest you get on the phone and tell them whatever you think. No kidding. We'll be right back. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. And House Bill 0768, known as the Firearm Registration Act in Pennsylvania, could become law. And if it does, I think it will catch like wildfire. We need to stop it right now. Now, we stopped the last one in Missouri when there were two representatives in the state of Missouri who wanted to, actually, what they wanted to do is make you a felon if you had a AR-15, AK-47, magazine over 10 rounds, or certain shotguns with specific kinds of grips. And that was House Bill 545. And what I did, when I heard about that, I called the Missouri State House to get the phone numbers, the cell phone numbers of the representatives, Jill Shoup and, what's the other guy's name? Anyway, Rory Ellinger and Jill Shoup sponsored and co-sponsored that bill. And I gave out their cell phone numbers on the air for 1 week. But it didn't take a week to stop them. It only took till the next afternoon. Till the next afternoon. People were calling them up, screaming at them, yelling at them, cursing at them. Whatever else they did, I don't know. I didn't advise any of that, but that's what they did. And the reason I know that is they ended up on the news that next afternoon on KMOV television in St. Louis, complaining that people were yelling at them, screaming at them, and they felt uncomfortable with their bill. And it was dead right then and there. Right then and there. And those two representatives came out of St. Louis, Missouri. So if you want to know how to stop these turkeys, that's how you do it. You call them up. So I suggest you call and get their cell phone numbers and then call them on the cell phone. Find out their home phone numbers. And if you find out their cell phone numbers, send me an email, Vincent@usaprepares.com. Vincent@usaprepares.com. And I will get it out far and wide. Okay? So this House bill remember, requires gun owners in Pennsylvania to register their firearms with the Pennsylvania State Police. With a lot more information than that. Now, in New York, there are about 1 million firearm owners who defied the state law to register their assault weapons. New York said that you will do this, and the owners defied it. The same thing played out in Connecticut, when only 50,000 out of 350,000 registered their semi-automatic rifles. What was wrong with them? Why would they register them? Why would they do that? But they did because they were threatened. Okay, this is what the Democrats are doing. So here are their phone numbers. If you want to call, if you go to her website, it says the Honorable MaryLouise Isaacson. I would say dishonorable, but MaryLouise Isaacson. Here's her phone number, 215-503-3245. Repeat, 215-503-3245. Next one. Representative Angel Cruz, C-R-U-Z. Oh, shoot, where's his phone number? I'm going to have to get that. Representative Mary Jo Daley, phone 610-832-1679. 610-832-1679. So is it worth 10 minutes of your time to call these turkeys? It is to me.
That's an insult to the turkey, Vince.
Dr. Shealy, I'm furious that these people want to do this. And because, so some people may say, well, it's just registration. You know, they need to know that. No, they don't need to know that. No, they don't. And not only, well, here's Cruz's phone number. Area code 215-291-5643. 215-291-5643. And these people are alleged representatives of we, the villagers, right? Obviously, these people are working against us. And the reason that the Japanese did not continue their attack after Pearl Harbor on the United States mainland is because they were afraid of who? Us, the villagers, because they knew we all had guns, and they knew we'd kill them. And these turkeys, well, sorry about that, Dr. Shealy, these alleged representatives want to prevent us from protecting ourselves and our land. Make sure you defeat them. And you know what? I talked to some representatives who heard about the sponsors of the bill to make us felons for having AK-47s, AR-15s, and magazines over 10 rounds and shotguns with certain grips. And they still talk about, oh, whatever you do, don't do what Rory Ellinger did. Oh, my gosh. Those people beat him up. He was an example. He's the poster boy for what not to do in state government. And I'm glad we did that. I'm really glad we beat him up, figuratively. As a matter of fact, he died. Maybe the pressure was so great from him trying to put us in prison that he couldn't take it, and he literally died. That's Rory Ellinger. You can look him up. Dr. Shealy, is pretty frustrating. Also frustrating is this. There's a mother, 28 years old. She's letting the world know that she's partially paralyzed after suffering a stroke from taking birth control pills. This gal who lives in England, 28 years old, says that she has regained some of her movement, but her facial muscles aren't working right, and she's slowly gaining her health, but she feels that birth control pills have destroyed her faith in hormonal contraception. Dr. Shealy, have you had experience with patients who have had a stroke as a result?
That's a small part of it. It ruins your pituitary forever. You will never have a totally normal endocrine system after months or more on a birth control pill. I consider it one of the worst things you could do to your body. What
about other maladies? Is birth control, oral birth control through hormonal changes in the body, does that lead to cancer?
We're not sure of that, but probably. There's enough evidence that there's no circumstance under which I recommend it.
How about birth defects later on?
Oh, yeah. How about trouble conceiving once you want to have children?
Oh, that's like in the news, a couple times a week where you read stories about infertility. So would you say that is part of the problem with infertility? That the women are on birth control and then they decide to have children, and the men's sperm count's down because they've got their cell phones in their pockets and they're eating the wrong foods?
All of the above.
Okay. So this woman says that she believes that her condition is a result of this consumption of birth control pills, and now she's gone to mechanical methods like condoms. Okay. Here's another one, Dr. Shealy. So that was on Daily Mail. Another one on Daily Mail. U.S. rushes to approve new generic heart drugs amid a major shortage after millions of pills were contaminated with cancer-causing chemicals in Chinese factory. Goes on to say, in the summer of 2018, companies started recalling generic blood pressure drugs made in China and India after tests showed that some were contaminated. The FDA, Food and Drug in the United States, says that around 2 million people had been exposed to carcinogens in blood pressure medicines, half of whom were Americans. So now what they want to do is have the FDA quickly approve another India-made generic drug to offset the gap. Dr. Shealy, have you heard of drugs being formulated with carcinogens outside of the United States?
Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't trust the Chinese to tell me the time of day.
Oh, I hate doing business with the Chinese. I really do. They are miserable. Absolutely miserable. We've been working for years trying to get the Chinese to honor their warranty, their alleged warranty on the nickel iron batteries or cells that Bruce Kay and I bought. Miserable working with them. Absolutely. Their warranty is worthless. Class, let me say this very clearly. Do not buy CIYI cells for your off-grid solar system if you expect the company to honor their warranty. I'm probably going to do a special YouTube video with Bruce Kay about how horrible it is working with these guys. Okay, so how's it possible for them to not know that they were formulating drugs with carcinogens? How is that possible?
Well, I wouldn't trust the pharmacal mafia in this country, so why would I trust it in China?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, in class, there was a story years ago when I lived in Virginia. Our dog died, a wonderful, wonderful dog. We fed him dog food, and we believe it was contaminated with melamine, which is an industrial waste from China. So they were extending their product with, this was Menu Foods, MENU, out of China. A lot of dog food brands are manufactured by Menu. Got all kinds of labels, different. It appears that a whole bunch of companies are making it, but Menu is the company that made these dog foods. And it was toxic, absolutely toxic. So if you want to give your retriever or your shepherd or whatever you've got, or your Heinz 57 dog food, make sure it doesn't come from outside this country. At least that's my take on it. We'll be right back with Dr. Norman Shealy, and here's something as disturbing as what we've already talked about. This is brain surgery remotely via a 5G network. It's performed in China. How would you like to have your surgeon on the end of a network doing your brain surgery. Think about that. We'll be right back. Class Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. NormShealy.com. NormShealy.com. Dr. Shealy, this is quite frightening to me, because if this is a trend that continues, I can see lots of problems with it. So there's an article on RT.com, RussiaToday.com, a great source for news. World's first remote brain surgery via 5G network performed in China. A Chinese surgeon has performed the world's first remote brain surgery using 5G technology with a patient 1,900 miles away from the operating doctor. So this doctor implanted a neurostimulator into his patient's brain, the Chinese media reports. So the surgeon manipulated instruments from one hospital, from a clinic 1,900 miles away. The surgery was reported to have lasted 3 hours. The patient, who is suffering from Parkinson's disease, is feeling well after pioneering the operation. So, Dr. Shealy, we are literally talking about remote control of surgical instruments via wireless networking.
Well,
I'm not exaggerating.
It's more, in my opinion, assault upon common sense, but that's the kindest way I can put it.
Yeah, Dr. Shealy, I'm thinking about an operating room. I'm thinking about the anesthesiologist. I'm thinking about the nurses. I'm thinking about the surgeon, and I'm thinking about the hospital environment. If the doctor were to have a stroke or die during surgery, that's a problem, and I'm sure someone would attend to him. But what about the patient? What about the patient? Who's going to help the patient? I'm sure there are other doctors who could rush in typically at that kind of environment where you're actually in the hospital with the doctors in the operating room. But I'm thinking about 5G wireless technology, which, they say, literally, if you have the internet, we're talking about using the internet now. If you have wireless technology or wired technology, I'm told by companies like Vonage, do not rely on internet technology for calling 911. They're telling you, don't expect this to work all the time. And I'm thinking, here we're now using this to operate with a technology that goes down. How often does the internet go down? Well, it goes down a lot here at the farm. So I'm thinking that's a problem. And then you have the latency, the delay I can't use satellite internet to broadcast because of the delay. And that's only like a couple seconds. And that's too much. And here we've got a doctor operating over the internet. Dr. Shealy, do you think that this might actually catch on?
Well, insanity reigns today. REIGNS and RAINS both.
Well, I can understand having a teleconference with someone. We could be via Skype or video, any way that you could communicate with a patient over the phone. For example, I can see patients that you have that could be on the other side of the country, and they want to talk to you, and you want to kind of get a look at their movements, their facial expressions, their delivery, their cadence, all of those things for a like a checkup that you really don't have to feel their pulse, feel their temperature, look in their eyes, look down their throat, where you can actually just have kind of an interview with them to figure out if they should come and see you. I can see that happening. That makes sense. But surgery via wireless, I think that's nuts. Any quick comments before we go into the top of the hour break?
Kind.
Okay. All right. Dr. Shealy is with us, Norm Shealy. And if you'd like to email him, Norm, N-O-R-M as in Norman, Norm Shealy or norm at normshealy.com. We'll be right back, and I've got a question about this man who gets white stripes across his fingernails after climbing a really tall mountain, and it looks like he was starved of oxygen. Interesting what our fingernails can tell us. We'll be right back, and we'll discuss that. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com. Dr. Shealy, there's a story of a man who climbed a tall mountain, and he got these white stripes across his fingernails, all of his fingernails. And he spent about 3 weeks at 4,000 meters, and where there's less oxygen. And his doctor said that the problem was cosmetic, don't worry about it. And, it started to, his fingernails started to grow out, and it seems to be going away. But have you heard of a situation where oxygen deprivation manifests in changing color of fingernails?
Oh, yeah. Actually, the common one is club fingers, so to speak. They bulge out and they become bluish, but there are many different variations on that theme of, damage to your circulation and body as a whole.
Do you think that it's possible to suffer permanent damage? So someone who lives, let's say on the ocean level, lives on the shore, virtually at sea level, if that person were to take a vacation and go, high in the mountains, do you think that there's a possibility of causing bodily damage as a result of that?
Oh, yeah. Oxygen, let's face it, I would say the number one requirement is breathing, and the other number one requirement for breathing is adequate oxygen.
Right. Okay, so do you have a recommendation? So if someone's thinking about vacations, should they, if they normally live at sea level where there's more air pressure because of, class, you can think of it like this. You can think of a column of air, and all the air above, let's say, in the atmosphere is pushing down on the air below it, on the air below that, and the air below that. So you have all the weight of all this air pressing down, and the lower you are in altitude, the more air there is pressing down on the air that's above, that you're breathing. So there's more atmospheric pressure the closer you are to sea level than if you're in the mountains, for example. So, Dr. Shealy, do we need to be concerned about, if we're going to, I don't know, let's say go to Denver at 5,000 feet. Would someone who lives in Virginia at 40 feet above sea level, would they have a problem typically, someone who's healthy going to Denver, or?
Well, people are otherwise healthy. They don't ordinarily have a problem at a mile high. Now, 10,000 feet, such as in the Andes, certainly can cause trouble to a significant number of people.
Okay. And what would be the symptoms of oxygen deprivation? Would we notice it? Would we feel lightheaded? What would be symptoms?
Again, all kinds of possibilities. Obviously, dizziness, lightheadedness, shortness of breath, just not knowing where you are, that kind of thing.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, you've traveled throughout the world. You've spoken at seminars, consortiums. Have you found a place that you really like? And, well, specifically in the United States, I'm thinking, is there a really neat place to live where it's healthy to live, where it's, free from crime, free from pollution, free from electromagnetic radiation, those kinds of things, all the kinds of things that we would want, you and I, and probably many members of our class. I'm thinking, where would it be a nice place to move to?
I haven't found such a place. Free of crime. Remember, Springfield is listed as the number 3 crime city in the country.
Yeah. And then we have St.
capita.
Louis. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, what about where the water's good and the air is good? Is there a place for that?
Yeah, I don't know, Vince. Every place has its possibilities, and everyone has some possible problems.
Yeah. I was thinking North Dakota, or maybe even South Dakota, would be a neat place to move to, because nobody wants to go there. It's so darn cold.
Yeah, except in winter is what I was about to say.
Yeah, it's so darn cold that it's not too hospitable. But I'm thinking, Dr. Shealy, of all the problems that we're having, and all of them, all the problems that I see relate to people. They relate to the individual greed of people, the me first, and the stupidity of people. I'm thinking about electromagnetic radiation. I'm thinking about fluoride in the water. I'm thinking about people just throwing stuff out and not caring. Just put the garbage out. And we have this single-use plastic. It bothers me. It bothers me that we are throwing out so much plastic, so much garbage, and the poor animals don't know that it's not food. So they try to eat it and they get sick and die. We throw out those rings. There's 6 holes in this bundle that hold soda bottles together or soda cans together. And it's so convenient because you can pick up 6 cans with 2 fingers, or 6 bottles with 2 fingers, and then we throw them away, and then they end up in the water. The animals swim through them, get stuck, and then like a turtle gets stuck, and then the turtle tries to grow, and the turtle grows, but it's like having a belt around the middle of the turtle, and so now the turtle is shaped like an hourglass because it's stuck in this piece of plastic that some jerk threw away. Even worse, the jerk who designed it. It's everywhere. Over packaging. How do we get away from glass jars? Try to buy mayonnaise in a glass jar. It's impossible. It's almost impossible to buy spaghetti sauce in a glass jar now. Now it comes in plastic. Oh, it's lighter. It's easier to carry home. And these plastic bags, we used to have paper sacks that we would take our groceries home in. They're biodegradable. You could use them over and over again. No. We have these plastic bags that they blow in the wind. They're stuck in the trees. They're stuck on fences. Cows try eating them. They chew them and chew them and chew them. Eventually, they swallow them. And then they get sick. Some cows die. And those stupid balloons for birthday parties. Really? These Mylar balloons? Hey, if that 2-year-old lets go of that string, off it goes. Oh, it's okay. Well, you will have to buy him another one. Wait a minute. Where does it land? My cows try to eat those things. I would like to find the jerk who let that thing go. I'd also like to find the jerk who manufactures them. I'm frustrated, Dr. Shealy, with how stupid Americans have become, how careless, how thoughtless. Just go around any neighborhood at Christmas time, a couple days after Christmas, and look at the overflowing trash cans that people put out with all this extra packaging of all this Chinese junk that they bought. Not only is the packaging going to end up in the landfill, but so is the product in a year or two later because it's Chinese junk. It doesn't matter what it is. Stuff that comes from China overwhelmingly is substandard. I'm really frustrated. Okay. Here's an interesting story, Dr. Shealy. It's right up your alley. Light and sound therapy could stall Alzheimer's symptoms. This study finds Daily Mail. Goes on to say that researchers at MIT used a non-invasive treatment with mice with early stage of Alzheimer's, and they found that light and sound therapy in the frequencies that you've discussed here on USA Prepares is working. And those frequencies are between, they use lights flickering at 40 hertz or 40 times per second. And they found that that the 25 to 80 cycles per second are believed to contribute to mental functions such as attention, perception, and memory. Any comments, Dr. Shealy, on that?
It's like everything else. You can spend days, but not get where you want to go.
Do you think that there's any hope for Alzheimer's patients?
Oh, yes. I think there are many, many positive things. The number one is to avoid junk food. Number two is to use your brain. Number three is to take adequate baseline vitamins. In today's toxic world, the brain can't function without B complex and a lot of other things. And the so-called daily requirement of intraday intake is ridiculous because Roundup and all kinds of other poisons markedly increase our need for the basics.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shealy, what about reading? I have found, I can't believe this. I can't believe how inexpensive books have become and how few people want to actually read books. I mean, I'm talking about a physical paper book with a cover on the front and a cover on the back, and it's bound. People don't seem to want to buy them anymore. Do you think that has an impact in our inability to be creative, our inability to speak in complete sentences, our inability to reason?
Yes.
I've noticed that young people really don't want to read books. I very rarely see a young person with a book. I always see them with their cell phone, but not with books. What do we do about it, Dr. Shealy? Do you have a prescription?
I don't like e-books. I mean, I don't
read e-books.
2 cents for an e-book.
Me either. I don't have one, don't want one, and I have never read one. I've seen them, I've looked at them, and I've thought, gosh, this is hard to read. How does this make any sense at all? Yeah, but you can have 200 books in this tablet. Yes, so. Dr. Shealy, this book that I'm still working on is about the way I do things. And Mrs. Finelli was kind of cleaning up some boxes of papers, and she showed me this card that came in the mail. I have it in front of me. It's dated 2006, 13 years ago. And 13 years ago, I sold a truck that we had. It's a 1994 Chevrolet Blazer, full-size Blazer, not the little Blazer. This is the size of a pickup truck. And it had a 6.5-liter turbo diesel engine. And here's what this says. So this is a note that a young person wrote me. And the reason I'm reading this is because this is the way I do things. And I think, class, you might want to take a page out of my book. Thank you for your kindness and, dear Mr. Finelli, thank you for your kindness and hospitality during my visit to your home. You made my first car buying experience an enjoyable one. Since I had never bought a car, I was nervous about asking questions and was not too sure what to look for. But you showed me most of what I was going to ask to look at before I could ask. Also, your gift of $50 was a very generous thing to do. The car is great, and I absolutely love it. There's no doubt in my mind I will be driving the Tahoe. He thinks it's a Tahoe. It's actually a Blazer. Until it is completely worn out. Once again, thank you very much. Yours truly, Ethan. Now, the reason I'm reading that is because what I did was, he was a young man, and this was his very first car, and I wanted to make sure I could teach him everything that I knew about it that he needed to know. And then I did what my dad did. What my dad did when I got my very first car was he said, hey, Vin, let's go to the gas station. I'm going to buy you your first tank of fuel, which is what that $50 was all about. We agreed on a price. He paid me the amount that we agreed on. And then I said, you know what, Ethan, here's something that my dad did for me. He bought me my first tank of fuel. And so Here is $50 to fill up the 26-gallon fuel tank of diesel that this vehicle had. Dr. Shealy, any comments about that before we continue?
Well, it's what I call good parenting.
And I think we can extend nice behavior to people. I think we can teach people along the way if they're interested in learning. If they're not interested in learning, I just write them off. But if they are interested in learning, I will go way out of my way, above and beyond, to help them. Only if they're interested. If they're not interested, I'm not going to force feed them. Dr. Shealy, California grand jury awarded $29 million to a dying mother of two with cancer who used J&J's baby powder, Johnson & Johnson's baby powder. So this young mother, this dying mother of two with cancer, used Johnson & Johnson's baby powder. She was diagnosed with mesothelioma in 2017. Now, of course, J&J is going to appeal, and they don't want to pay out. But this is just the beginning, I believe, of what's going to happen to J&J. And I hope J&J is eviscerated financially, taken down.
I consider it as evil as Monsanto. Mm-hmm. They have created numerous problems. They actually bought the first modern tins company in order to try to destroy tins back in the 70s.
Can you tell us about that, Dr. Shealy?
Well, yeah.
What did they actually do? Sure.
Well, they bought a company called StimTech, or Stimulation Technology, in Minneapolis, and it was proven they then set about destroying the company. It was the first public company selling tins units. Basically, it was taken to court about 1980, and the jury awarded the founders $75 million in damages. Now, it was settled out of court, but I can tell you those two people don't work again.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, class, what this is all about is Johnson's & Johnson's baby powder.
Evil company. Evil, evil, evil.
Mm-hmm. Has been found to have asbestos in its content. And asbestos causes or can cause mesothelioma, cancer. It's a real problem. And there are, a lot of lawsuits, about 13,000 more that are coming to J&J. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com. Just heard on top of the hour news that low IQ Joe Biden wants to be president. I'd love to see him be the Democrat candidate for the presidency of corporate USA. He's a plagiarist. I hope that he is the candidate, or Hillary, either one, and let's send them to a resounding defeat, like the greatest defeat in history. That's what we need to do. So either one is my choice for Democrat candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, because I would love to see them beaten badly in the election. Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, I would love to see the Democratic Party drowned in the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay, there you go. And by the way, the Democrats in Pennsylvania are the ones who want to register guns. Okay?
Right.
And class, back to that very simply, if you register your gun, there will be a location. Now, they want to know how many. They don't want to register you. They want to register your gun so they know where they all are. And they want you to, by law, if this passes, they want to make sure that they know if you change your location, where that gun went. So that, why would they want to know? So they can come and get it. That's what this is all about. It's about planned theft, confiscation of your guns. Next topic is very important, and I've got to hand it to the millennials. This one they've got right. They have, last Friday, March 15th, there was a planned school skipping day. The students all over the world didn't go to school. They skipped school for a planned protest. 100 countries, 2,000 cities, worldwide, students skipping school because they are protesting what's happening to our climate. They figured this out. And so I'm reading some of these signs. Now, one sign says, ban single-use plastic by 2020. I'm all for that. Plastic is a valuable resource, but we throw it away like it's free. I'm all for that. Another sign that the students are holding up, there is no planet B, meaning there's no plan B planet. This is it. There is no planet B. Another one, another sign, act now or swim later. What they're saying is the tide is rising. Cities like New York City are trying to figure out how they can save the buildings from becoming flooded as the tide gets higher and higher and higher. And it is. Ocean levels are rising. There's no question about it. Another one, school strike for climate. Yes. Another one, I'll be voting in 4 years. Good point. Make Earth great again. Make Earth great again. I love it. These students are demanding that we act on climate change. Tomorrow, Dane Wigington will be with us, and he will be exposing how serious this is. We have probably passed the point of no return, and he will delineate why. So, class, if you have time, please listen in tomorrow. So the students are now activists. Another sign, rebel for Earth. Absolutely. Change or die. Very good point. So what has happened is the globalists, the greedy, the careless are destroying our planet. Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, yes. The globalists, the Committee of 300, must be destroyed somehow.
Mm-hmm. 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 I think, Dr. Shealy, and class, you can mark my words, that I believe that the shooting war is going to start within our country. People don't have jobs. The factories have been closed. General Motors is closing plants. Ford is closing plants. Heck, we don't need no stinking factories here in the United States. We've lost the tool and die makers. They're almost all gone. And the tool and die makers, those are the guys who make the tools to make the machines that make the stuff that we buy. We hardly have any more of them around.
And most of it went to China.
Right. Right.
The worst
How would we
defend
it? When we have jerks like these Pennsylvania alleged representatives who want to take our guns so we can't defend ourselves. That's what they want to do. Because there's shootings here and there, they want to prevent the rest of us from being able to defend ourselves. I think what's happening is these globalists are afraid that when we come unglued, we're going after them. And there'll be no place for them to hide. They can go underground, but if they pop up, they're going to get hurt. I think the people have just about had it. You look at Paris, you look at the Yellow Vest protest. If I could get USA Prepares up again, Bluehost is working on it, so they say. Our website's been down for days. Bluehost can't seem to get their act together and get it fixed. It's like they keep telling me within 24 hours, it's not up. It hasn't been up since last week. I keep calling them and they keep telling me that there's nothing they can do other than me. I just have to wait. Well, it's not up. It's not working. So if it were working, I would post all these these signs. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they don't want me to post this information. Here's a sign that says, if you don't act like adults, we will. Very good point. We don't have people who are concerned about the planet. And there's no place to go. There's no place. The entire planet is encircled with radioactivity. The entire planet is circled with toxins in the air. Most of the planet is encircled with electromagnetic radiation. What are you going to do? We've got to stop it. And these jerks want to deploy more and more 5G. We have a climate emergency. We've been talking about it for years. There's no economy on a dead planet. Dr. Shealy, is there any comments that you'd like to make on this, or would you like to continue?
It's part of the whole serious problem.
Okay.
All the faults of the Committee of 300.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, there's an article I'd love to post on the website. I can't. Vladimir Putin's scientists predict a mega U.S. earthquake on March 20th. Their scientists have studied the planets. They've studied these tremors in the earth. They've studied a lot of things. And they think that March 20th is when it's going to happen. There's going to be a massive, devastating earthquake. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not trying to frighten people unnecessarily, but I've heard about this from many sources. And it's from principascientific.org, PRINCIPA-scientific.org. And the title is Putin Scientists Predict Mega U.S. Earthquake in 2 weeks. That was published on March 5th, 2019. So that's less than 2 weeks. Have you heard about that, Dr. Shealy?
I have not heard about that one.
Okay.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, yeah, you can look that up. There's another article, it's very interesting, that the tobacco companies have figured out what they need to do in order to sell tobacco. Get people hooked on, get them addicted to their product. Well, here's an article in Daily Mail, how tobacco giants pushed Capri Sun and Kool-Aid on children. The report reveals that Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds used the cigarette marketing playbook to promote sugar-laden drinks as good for children. Now, seriously, I don't know how you could market Kool-Aid as being good. I mean, Kool-Aid does have its purpose. It really does. I think if you have Kool-Aid in your house, there's something that you can do that is really beneficial. Save it for when you think your toilet leaks. Okay? Seriously. If you think you have a toilet tank leaking, where the flush valve is leaking and you think your toilet's running all night, all you have to do is pour that Kool-Aid in the toilet tank. Whether it's red or green or blue or orange, whatever color Kool-Aid you happen to have, you can pour that in the toilet tank. And that dye will, if you have a toilet tank leak, that dye will end up in the toilet bowl. That tells you have a leak. That's what Kool-Aid's good for. What they're doing is they're telling children that these really sweet drinks are good for them. And then the children cause the demand for their parents to buy these addictive, sugary, sweet-tasting drinks. And that's what the tobacco company has done to have the children be the demand for their products. Any comments, Dr. Shealy, on that? Yes, no? Hawaiian Punch. R.J. Reynolds purchased Hawaiian Punch, and tested the drink as a cocktail mixer for moms. Didn't go well, so they tried testing on children. It was the right sweetness. Children were much bigger fans, so the company switched gears and marketed it toward children. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Dr. Shealy, if members of our class want to contact you and set up an appointment to come see you, talk about their medical conditions, what number would you like them to call?
417-351-5221.
Okay, class, that's 417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. Dr. Shealy, during the First Great Depression, there were people who were jumping out of buildings, out of windows, killing themselves because of the financial distress that they were under. They had made a lot of money in the stock market, then they lost it, and they panicked and committed suicide. Suicides are on the rise right now. And I heard this story this weekend about this man who inherited a large sum of money. And what he did was buy some farm equipment, bought new tractors and new implements, and bought a farm, and it was all set and everything was working great. And then the bottom dropped out of the cattle market. And so his farm was sold on the courthouse steps. And he killed himself after that happened. Just in that line of thinking, robocalls, these robotic calls, are coming into people's homes more and more and more. I read a story where up to 11 calls a day were coming in to a woman who just times had changed and her circumstances changed, and a lot of things went wrong for her. Health and family and a job and all kinds of things all went wrong almost simultaneously, and she was unable to pay her bills, and yet the calls came in demanding money, as many as 11 calls a day. And I can see where people can get really frustrated because you don't know who's calling, you don't know how to stop it, you don't know what to do. And yet at the same time, when you buy something, they say, okay, let me, for our warranty purposes, what is your phone number? Well, most people have a cell phone, so they give them their cell phone number. Lowe's does it. Harbor Freight does it. Credit card companies do it. Technical support companies do it. You know, when you call your phone company and say, I have a problem, they go, okay, well, what is your cell phone number as well? They want that number. And it's almost impossible to escape these phone calls. And so people are really frustrated. And the stress, I believe, is adding to the suicide rate. That's just my opinion. Do you think that's possible, Dr. Shealy, or have I lost my mind?
I think it's possible.
Okay. So, class, if you decide that you want out from these robocalls, you call that company up and you call them. And you say, I'd like to talk to the department that keeps calling me. And then when you talk to them, you say, do not call this number anymore. Do not call this number anymore. Now, they have to honor your request by law, but that doesn't mean they're going to abide by the law. But that's the way to stop it, at least to try to stop it, in my opinion. Dr. Shealy, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us during the remaining few minutes of the broadcast?
No, I think the important thing is to be prepared for everything and anything.
Have you lost any shingles on your farm, Dr. I'm holding in my hand.
And the picket fence on the outside of my carport was blown down.
The picket fence was? Yeah. We have a picket fence, and it's leaning. We had some really high winds, and so I've been picking up shingles around the farmhouse, and they're in really good condition, except that they're not on the roof. and the problem is that they're not low. They're at the top of the roof. That's where they came off. And so it's going to be a real job to get these on. We've got a 40-foot ladder, but that's not tall enough to do the job. So I don't know exactly how we're going to get this done, but we got to do it soon. Otherwise, we'll lose the roof decking. Okay. Dr. Norman Shealy's been with us. NormShealy.com, SHEALY.com. Very quickly, Dr. Shealy, are you in good supply of Myers Cocktails ingredients?
Yes, we have plenty.
Okay, class. So if you're interested in the Myers Cocktail that I've had many of, you can call Dr. Norman Shealy's office at 417-351-5221. Dr. Shealy's email address, norm@normshealy.com. Shealy spelled Shealy. Dr. Shealy, thanks so much. See you next Monday.